Bachelor Nation, I told you it was a Bachelorette kind of morning, and we have an absolute legend of the franchise here,
gosh.
Lauren Bushnell. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I had to give you that intro not only because I love you and you're the sweetest, but because look what she brought me, everybody. Dear Rosé is your rosé brand. This is Roses and Rosé Live. So, oh my gosh, we are about to pop this rosé on a Tuesday morning. Can you do the honors? Can you open this up?
I mean, such a hard.
Oh, please put the effort in. Thank you for being here. Tell me about why you wanted to make a rosé and like how you crafted this. The way, listen to this.
Oh, it sounds
Tell me about
so
it.
good. Can you guys hear it? So yeah, I mean, I've always loved rosé, especially, I mean, I feel like the last couple years rosé has become just such a popular drink because it is so easy to enjoy no matter what time of day, whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning or on a Tuesday, you know, and it's just one of those things, especially in California. It's just a drink that I personally, it was my go-to.
Cheers.
So, yeah, cheers.
Cheers. What a boss lady.
Cold.
It's amazing. You guys, she brought it in an igloo thing for me to keep it cold. It's so good. I've never had it before, but you are killing it. You're selling it. You're in different restaurants.
Yes.
This is a venture between you and your boyfriend, Devin. So what is that like to work together and be in a relationship?
Yeah. Okay, so when we first started it, I remember specifically, like, so many people being like, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Because you hear about it all the time, like things that just can go kind of awry, whether it's like married couples working together or whatever. But for us, it's actually really fun. It's been challenging at times, and we have to work through things, but I think it's forced us to communicate better. It's forced us to kind of be creative together and like have this shared kind of project and shared passion now together, which I think is really cool.
It's awesome. You guys, I'm sure that you have so many questions and comments for Lauren, as I do. So leave them on ET social platforms right now. I will get them here on our iPad. And we are also going to, of course, recap last night's episode of The Bachelorette with Becca Kufrin. We were saying this is so funny that you're here because you went to the Bahamas on your season, and then last night they went to the Bahamas, but you felt like you had a different experience.
I felt like their Bahamas was maybe a little more glamorous than ours. And maybe that's just, again, the TV effect, but their weather looked a little nicer than ours. Our weather was a little gloomy. The Bahamas for me, and I think for our season as a whole, was just a little weird. It was a weird time.
Because of the weather? Because of what was
the
going on?
weather, there was like that weird 2-on-1. It was gloomy. Everyone, I was telling you this a second ago, everyone got kind of sick. I don't know if it was from the food or what, but it was just an interesting time.
It's interesting that you say that because a lot of people have said that they feel like the dates and everything that's happening on this season have not been as glam as seasons past. Like they're not maybe doing the trips or the big moments or like the over-the-top dates. Do you feel like, as somebody who was on the show, as a contestant, like, is it better to build the relationship to have a more normalized date or to have one of those glamorous dates? Like, what's better in this environment to connect with the person?
I mean, I would definitely say the more normal dates because I just think, obviously, like the glam, the glitz, and all that stuff, it can kind of build that excitement that maybe gets confused with actual feelings and the romance and stuff. And I think that's great and it's fun and it works, but I would personally prefer the more normal dates and the less glam because I just feel like it gives you a chance to really kind of see what real life would actually be like because you're obviously not going to be flying in a helicopter.
You're not going to be.
It's just not going to happen.
So let's talk a little bit about last night's episode. It was a lot of like one-on-one on the beach, then dinner. One-on-one on the beach, then dinner. We had Blake. Blake got his beach time, and then he got his dinner. Let me get your thoughts on Blake, because Blake was sort of having this moment of, you know, he's having a hard time accepting that she has feelings for the other guys, which it's like, don't you know what this show is?
Yeah.
But then I was surprised. Becca said that she was in love with Blake, but of course she couldn't tell him yet. What do you think of their connection?
Well, I was just a little thrown off by, I mean, I understand having a hard time because I get it, especially at that point. There are feelings developing, and of course it's hard to see someone that you are really falling for go on a date with someone else. Like, that's not fun, but he really was struggling, and I was just surprised by that. And, but yeah, I mean, I was surprised, but I'm also not. And she even said it, I think, where she said, I understand how Ari felt and, you know, how past Bachelor and Bachelorettes feel because it happens time and time again where you can fall for two different people and real feelings too. So, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I think it probably puts her in a hard position.
I mean, as a contestant, how difficult is it to be in that moment and, you know, after the show to look back and be seeing, no, she did? Because I was thinking, like, Wills was just here and I'm like, was that weird for you to watch and see that she at that point felt like she was in love with Blake?
Yeah. Oh gosh, watching it back, like, I obviously like I have no idea who she's in a relationship with, or if she is, or how the show ends. But I'm sure that's not fun to watch back in general. Like, and which is why I don't think I watched most of my season back, especially towards the end, because it's like you don't need to relive that. We all know what happens. We all know that there are real feelings for other people. You don't need to rewatch it and bring it back into the relationship.
So better to not watch it.
I wouldn't watch it.
Blake also, when they were at dinner, made this kind of crazy confession about his family. I was really surprised. He said, that he'd gotten, his parents had gotten divorced when he was in high school, and he told her that his mom had an affair with his coach. I was like, oh, did mom know you were gonna
I know.
that?
That was literally my first thought. I was like, oh gosh, like, and is mom gonna be on the hometown? Like, is this gonna be awkward? That was my first thought. But I mean, I feel like he's clearly an emotional person, which I respect, and he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, which I think has been very evident. And so if he felt like he needed to kind of tell her, and if he does feel like that's where a lot of his feelings are stemming from, I think it's good he told her. But yeah,
I
mom's
like
probably, I don't know how mom feels.
It was a lot of oversharing last night, We'll get into it, but Garrett talked about his ex. It was a lot. I mean, are you so in the bubble at that time, or did you try to have an awareness of like, I need to be careful about what I tell about my past and my family?
I think for me, I was a little bit reserved and probably overthought too much, which made it hard for me to fully like let my guard down. And which is why I don't think I got super, super emotional a lot. And it was because, you're for me at least, I was so hyper aware that there's 20 people around you. It's not, if it was just myself and Ben at the time, or I think I would have had no problem letting my guard down. But I mean, again, that's why I'm like, good for him for kind of being able to just block everything else out and be like that present where he's comfortable enough to just kind of let all his guards down, share it all.
Well, it's kind of funny because I think people thought he's a front runner. He got the first one-on-one, and then it felt a little surprising to hear her say she was in love with him because we hadn't seen much of him on recent episodes. And I wondered if you related to that or wanted to speak to that at all because, obviously you and Ben ended up together, but like you just said, you were more reserved. Did you feel like, they didn't show a lot of moments we had because maybe they were trying to throw people off? Or did you feel like, I was... maybe I wasn't coming out with it as much because the feelings were real? Like, what was your experience like with that?
I think, in general, it's probably a little bit of both. I think, looking back on the show, I was definitely, like, very reserved and quiet, which I think by nature I am, but especially when put in that situation, I was, like, a deer in headlights. So I think, for me, at least, it was probably a little bit of both, and probably same for them, because I remember watching the first few episodes, and I was like, Blake's definitely like a front runner. And so it's probably both, honestly.
It is funny too how I was here when Nick Viall was here. He said he actually did not give Vanessa his first impression rose because he was worried she'd get like a target on her. Do you feel like people who are the front runners like get that target on them or get that criticism, and how do you deal with it if so?
I think maybe more so with the women, from what I've at least seen. I feel like on our season, definitely a little bit, but not as much. We had like a good group of, I don't think we had a dramatic group of girls, but yeah, I could see that, definitely. There's that competitive nature where, especially when you like someone, you don't want to see someone else kind of, you don't want to view someone else as the front runner. That's not a good feeling to have. So, I could see how giving the first, like in Nick's case, how he would kind of shy away from that, which is sweet because he was protecting her.
Let's take a drink for Blake. Blake, power through. We know it's a struggle for you right now.
You got this, Blake.
So good. So many comments coming in for you. Gina wants to know, are you dating? Well, yes, she's dating. Her boyfriend is named Devin. He's lovely. Sarah wants to know who your favorite guy is. So real quick, let's get who your fave is.
I like Blake, and I really like Garrett.
So Garrett, first let's talk a little bit about Colton. Colton, he had this sexy moment with her on a boat. He also confessed, we had big night of confessions, that he is a virgin. People were acting like it was going to be this, how would she react? How would you react if a guy you were dating told you?
How would I?
Yes.
I was so taken back by this because I don't know if it was just the filming or the editing or whatever, but it looked like she was having to really, really sit this one through and think it through and really like be at one with this new revelation.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I don't know, it wouldn't bother me. If anything,
Right.
I would think it's really cool and honestly probably will save them from a lot of problems down the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
there's no
I would
baggage.
love it if my boyfriend didn't have a past. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Becca actually tweeted an update, and she said that when she walked away, she went to the bathroom. So
there you go.
It seemed to be an editing thing. Are there any moments when you're looking back and you're like, that wasn't edited totally right when I was on reality TV?
I think I can't think of anything specifically, but I think like I remember like I'm very expressive at times, and there were a couple of facial expressions I remember making on the show, and they would show me making that expression after someone said something, but I don't remember it being like directly
In
after.
reaction to that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So maybe like little things like that, but that's funny though. I didn't see that she said she was just
Yeah. That's my fear. I'm like, they would maybe if like, you know, I don't know, I was like making a face because I was really bloated, and then they would use that face for something else. Like, that would be my fear. Yes.
Exactly.
So Colton made his big confession. Of course, we said goodbye to Leo. Leo, you know, I just felt like with Leo, the connection wasn't really that far along. It felt like she kind of knew she was going to say goodbye to him.
I was kind of confused in general. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, can you get a sense with the contestants, can you get a sense of like, it seems like sometimes people are very surprised by who goes home, and sometimes they're not. Like, maybe who on your season were you shocked when that person got sent home? You thought, oh no, they really have a connection here?
Oh goodness. Probably, I remember when Jen Saviano went home.
Oh yeah.
But then looking back, like she even told me, she was like, I had a hard time like completely opening up. But like at the time, because I had gotten to know her, and I was like, she's such like a catch, like she's stunning.
Yeah.
So I remember being pretty surprised and like honestly sad when she went home. But again, like when you're in it, I feel like it's more obvious as a viewer, but when you're in the show, you don't really see like those interactions. So everything's kind of surprising because I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, I just assume that he has a connection with everyone. Like I have no idea. But I feel like as a viewer, it is a little bit more obvious.
Yeah.
Like for instance, in this case, I was like, okay, I don't really see it between them.
We're not seeing it.
No.
So I know you and Amanda Stanton are still such good friends. Who else from your season are you still close with?
I'm close with the twins. I'm close with Jen Saviano and LB, who I think she left actually early on in the season. And then I talk with Becca occasionally. I talk with JoJo occasionally. She just launched her clothing line, I know, and I was out of town, but I really wanted to go to her launch. I feel like there's no one that I'm like not friendly with, but I'm definitely closest with like the twins and Amanda and Jen and LB.
You guys had such a good season of girls, and I was kind of talking to you about this before because I think about it a lot. Like, your season felt like so many of you guys have kind of stayed in the realm, and, you know, we all still follow you on Instagram, and it felt very genuine. But I now look, sometimes I do wonder, like, Instagram has just blown up even in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, are people going on the show more now because they know, like, oh, I'll have this Instagram fame from the show? Do you get that feeling being in the world?
I mean, I think it's hard to not think that that's maybe a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like it's become, I remember when I went on the show, I had no idea that it was kind of like on the cusp of social media kind of exploding and influencers being a thing. I didn't even know if I knew the term influencer or if it was a term quite yet. And I kind of understood that maybe depending on how far you went, you might have like a moment, like a 15 minutes of fame and like maybe a little following, but I had no idea kind of this platform that you can possibly have. And I think myself, I'm not the only one who felt like, I think it was kind of unanimous amongst our season, which did kind of breed this like genuine vibe and people who actually just wanted to meet Ben. And Ben was such a good guy, so obviously like that helped as well. But yeah, I mean, I can't help but feel the same way. It's like you just, how do you know? Like that's why I don't even know if I would want to be in the position of the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, because it's like, how do you know if people are there? You know, I hate the word for the right reasons because I just think it's so overused, but it's kind of true. How do you know? You really have to kind of be able to like read through that, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At this point, it is more difficult now than ever. So, oh my gosh, so many questions coming in. Christina wants to know, who is your personal pick for Becca? Who are you really liking?
I really like Blake. I do like him. And I like Garrett, but I just think Garrett like seems like a little more, even tempered or like just kind of chill vibes. And I feel like Becca seems really like laid back too. But I think I'm going to go with Garrett.
Okay.
I like Garrett. Yeah.
Okay. I liked Blake's dancing last night, speaking of not chill vibes. I really liked that he hit the sand for the Baha Men. Which
he really went for it,
He went for it. And
which I respect. I respect
that the Baha Men were still around. I certainly
No, and
did.
he's so cute. He really is cute.
Grace wants to know, where can we get your rosé?
So online right now, on our website, dearwines.com, we're also launching a really exciting campaign with Saucy, which is an on-demand delivery.
Yes, I have used that.
Yes, so if you're ever at home and already have had a glass of wine and can't drive, you can order our wine on there in the next week or two. And then hopefully we really obviously want to get into some retailers so people can just grab us off the shelves.
Let's
That's the
drink
goal.
to your success.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
You guys, it's really delicious.
It's kind of dangerous.
It is kind of, well, it's the morning. So we have to wrap up pretty soon here, but wanted to also call out, it was just real funny, guys. I know everybody was a little bit upset that we had to break because President Trump announced the next Supreme Court nominees. So hopefully everybody had a glass of wine during that and we can all just move forward. We had that Trump moment and that was kind of wild. Bachelor Nation had some reaction, but things are important, more important than who's getting the rose sometimes. I do want to catch up with you before we go. Just like you said, you're working on this with Devin, which is so wonderful. I mean, we have people asking, are you dating? Yes, they are. How long have you guys been together and how are things going?
It's been a year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
We're doing really well. It's definitely been, I feel bad because I feel like we did start, like in hindsight, I think we started dating like I wish I would have taken a little bit more time, but that's the way it went. Like it naturally evolved. We had known each other before I went on The Bachelor and we're friends. And so, but I do feel bad because like I went through a very hard public breakup and I do think I brought a lot of those like emotions into me and Devin's relationship at the beginning. And so it's definitely been like a roller coaster of a ride. And like he doesn't understand all of this stuff and he's very confused by it, especially at first when all people wanted to ask me about was Ben, and it was hard. He was such a trooper, and so we've been through a lot together, but I think that makes us like that much stronger. So we're doing really well.
I love that. How did you kind of get through that when you say he was such a trooper? I mean, did you have to talk him through and say, like, stick with me through this? I've got to deal with all this. How do you get through that?
Honestly, like I never had to talk him off the cliff. Like he was just always very supportive, but there were times where he was like, hey, this is really hard for me. Like, and I never really stopped and thought about, gosh, that must be, like I never really put myself in his shoes at first because it was just kind of like, I was just kind of also in the moment dealing with it all. But now looking back, I'm like, gosh, he really had to kind of hear a lot of things that you don't really want to hear about the person you're now like in love with and dating, So, I mean, I think it was just like communication and just trying to be understanding of where each other's coming from. But he was always so supportive of me. He really was.
What is it that makes you, not just that support, but what other qualities make you really happy with this guy?
He is very, like, I can stress out about little things and try to like look too much into the future and plan too much. And he's very much like, no, like, let's just enjoy this moment, take it day by day. He also pushes me like with the rosé. I feel like I have all these ideas, but I never know where to start, so I never actually start. And he's the person who's like, no, like, let's start here, and we're going to make this happen. So he really does, like, push me to kind of do things that I've dreamt of or things that I'm passionate about or want to do, and not push me in a way that's, like, aggressive, just really, like, lightly kind of like give me that little nudge that maybe I need at times, which is really cool, and I've never really, like, had someone who does that for me. Yeah. So it's exciting. Yeah.
What was that like for you? Because, like you said, you went through a tough breakup. And I know, I mean, I just remember seeing like the criticism you got on social media at that time. What was the key for you to getting past that? Was Devin the key for it or what was it?
Yeah, he was like yes, he helped me a lot. I think it was my friends and my family. And then honestly, I think it was just not reading it. I just had to take a step back, and for a while there, I just didn't read anything, and I still really don't. Like, there was a lot of stuff out there that I could have been deep into, like, reading, and for me personally, it was better to just not even look and kind of continue about my life. But yeah, he was definitely a key part in helping me kind of stay grounded and like not listen to the criticism. And but I mean, I still, when you hear something, it's obviously still, it sticks with you. So
what was the hardest part about that time? Was it the criticism from people? What was the tough thing?
I think it was the criticism. I think it was like I was sad about the breakup and I was going through a lot of changes. I was like moving my life and like trying to like resettle and get my like footing underneath me, and I was sad and I felt bad. Like I felt like I had failed. I felt like all these emotions that you feel in a breakup, right? But then it was also on a very public scale, and I did feel like, you know, I think everyone always wants there to be someone at fault or a reason why, or like someone wants to point the finger. And I think because I started dating Devin so soon after, I was kind of an easy like target for the reason for the breakup or whatever. And so that was obviously hard, but you know, breakups are hard. Whether you met on The Bachelor or not, like breakups suck.
And you know, when you look back, I mean, I feel like your life, it's kind of crazy. We were talking about Bachelor time feels longer because so many shows happen, but really in a pretty short amount of time, you moved to Colorado, you moved back, you don't work as a flight attendant anymore. Now you have this other job. Like, what have you kind of learned about yourself as you've been through all this?
I think I learned that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was because, you know, growing up, I'm so thankful. I had such a steady upbringing. My family's together. My parents still live in the house that I grew up in, so I didn't experience a ton of change. And then all of a sudden, in such a short amount of time, like you said, I moved back, I was engaged, I wasn't, like there was so much change that it was so overwhelming, but I realized that I can handle it and I'm still standing, and I feel like I'm stronger than before. So I think it just taught me that, you know, you might be thinking that this is like the hardest thing and I'm never going to come out of it, but you will. And I definitely learned that during that time.
I love that. We're going to wrap up here, but yeah, just so many questions, so much love coming in for you. And really quick, Mary B wants to know, are you and Devin living together?
No. We talked about this.
We talked about this.
No. I mean, we like spend so much time together and we live 10 minutes down the road. But like I said, I've just been through so much change. I think that's definitely not something I want to rush, but we definitely could at this point. I think the timing has to be right.
So you're happy, but you want to take things a little bit slower right now.
Yeah.
See how things go.
I think The Bachelor taught me, honestly, that for me at least personally, I want to take things a little bit slower this time around and not rush anything.
Well, so happy to see you so happy. I really cannot tout this rosé enough. You guys, as you know, I love my rosés. And this one is really top. And it's from Provence, which is where all the good rosés are. That's my one rule about rosé. Don't get anything not from France, okay? She knows. Everybody, make sure, of course, to follow Lauren on social media if you don't already. And you also have your clothing line as well.
Yes.
Do you want
we did. Yeah, so Bellevue, the label. Bellevue is actually the street I grew up on, so that's kind of where it all stems from. But yeah, we did a collection of 5 pieces. Just fun to kind of like test and see what people like, but honestly more so because I wanted clothes that I loved to wear this summer. So I was like, oh, let's make some clothes.
I'll make myself a wine, I'll make myself some clothes. I'm good.
Good
Great.
to go. But yeah, so it's been really fun. I've been really busy. But I love clothes and I love rosé, so it kind of all makes sense.
Would you ever do reality TV again?
Oh, not right now. No.
Maybe in the future?
It depends on what it would be for, because I never want to say never, but for now, probably not.
Anything you would think you'd want to do?
I don't even know if I would have the time right now. Anything I think I would want to do. The only thing I can think of TV related that I would ever probably do right now at this point is like, if someone were like, here, go fix up this house.
Love it.
Go decorate. I'd be like, okay.
You're like, and now I'm going to decorate a house for myself. So I have my wine, my clothes, and I've made a house. Wonderful. Okay, Lauren Bushnell, thank you so much for being here. Guys, thank you for watching us with this crazy Bachelorette morning of tons of Bachelorette content that we've had here at Roses and Rosé Live on ET. You can, of course, check out Roses and Rosé. My recap is going up on YouTube today. And, you know, we'll just all continue to obsess and drink our wine and have a great summer. Thank you, everybody. Bye.